So this is where you've been hiding. Or maybe it's more accurate to say, this is where your hints led me to find you?
You are cautious one, I see, sending a shadow clone instead of showing up in person. With your abilities, I'm sure you already know I don't mean you any harm. I'm just here to gather some information about the events unfolding in this world.
Gathering information, are we? Guess you thought I'd be easier to approach this way. But if you've come all this way, I'll bite. What is it you want to know about what's happening out there?
With Ada's Senrigan, Boruto and Kawaki's roles were swapped. Sasuke, convinced by his daughter's awakening, decided to trust her and save Boruto from a doomed fate, helping him escape the village with his head held high.
More like his head still attached to his head.
I was trying to be reasonable, but in the end, Ada let them escape, feeling it was her responsibility.
When Sasuke left the Hidden Leaf Village with Boruto, the training they embarked on was both intense and critical for Boruto's survival. The training had a heavy emphasis on discipline, physical endurance, and mental resilience, as Sasuke understood the weight of the responsibility Boruto carried. Sasuke taught Boruto how to wield and master specific techniques, such as the sword and lightning-based jutsus. Through this training, Boruto not only became physically stronger, but also learned to channel his willpower and determination, developing a more profound understanding of his own powers and the responsibilities of being a shinobi. Sasuke likely shared knowledge of his own journey as a shinobi, his battle tact, and his understanding of threats like the Otsutsuki, helping Boruto develop a clearer vision of the challenges he would face. A year later, Code finally managed to ambush Boruto and Sasuke, catching them off guard. This time, he had the upper hand, determined not to let them slip away as they had before. In the chaotic struggle, Code lost an eye, which only fueled his rage. With the situation worsening, Sasuke urged Boruto to escape, telling him to leave and perfect the skills he'd taught him. Sasuke assured him that once he had, there would be no one who could stand as his equal. Fighting against his desire to stay, Boruto did as Sasuke instructed and fled. Later, he returned to find a scene of absolute devastation. Bodies lay scattered across the battlefield, a massacre reminiscent of the Fourth Great Ninja War and the terrifying tales of Uchiha Madara's power. Boruto's eyes fell on a large, gnarled tree that held his master Sasuke sealed within its bark. Clenching his fist, Boruto reminded himself of his shinobi's code, to endure and to never go back on his ninja way. He took up Sasuke's sword, vowing to not only reach the summit of the shinobi world, but to surpass it. With resolve burning within him, he promised to honor Sasuke's legacy and forge a path that would bring him beyond anything the shinobi world had ever known.
If Naruto was the child of prophecy, then what does that make his son? So much weight has been placed on his shoulders, it's no shock if he cracks under the pressure.
And every generation has its own battles to fight. The threat they're facing now isn't something new, it's always been lurking in the shadows. His ancestors started preparing for this long ago.
Perhaps it was fate that her bloodline would come together again, giving rise to two offspring with more potential than any shinobi before them.
Boruto was out there alone, without Sasuke's guidance, trying to stay a step ahead of a Stone Village Anbu team hot on his trail. They'd cut off every possible escape, cornering him in a way that had him scrambling, looking for any break. It was clear he was running out of options, and that's when I reached out. I used a toad to communicate with him, told him the truth. He wasn't getting out on his own. Capture was inevitable unless he did as I said. Naturally, he hesitated, but with the Anbu closing in, he placed his hand on the toad, and I pulled him straight to my hidden sanctuary, camouflaged by genjutsu, a place even Konoha's finest couldn't see. Once he'd caught his breath, I laid out the truth about what's been happening in Konoha. Thanks to the Otsutsuki cells within me, I possess a foresight ability I call the 10 Directions, which lets me see into possible futures. I explained how I had anticipated the memory-warping jutsu that erased him from everyone's memories, twisting the village's mind into seeing him as an enemy. That's why I still remember who he really is. Boruto listened, and I could see the weight of it all settling on him. I told him about the futures I'd seen, where Naruto dies using Baryon mode, Kawaki becomes Ishiki's vessel, and the Ten Tails evolves into hundreds of beasts. The worst of these is a creature called Jura, a Shinju capable of killing him in multiple futures. He had a fire in his eyes after hearing all this, so I offered to train him, not just with the skills he already has, but with techniques I've seen him master in other timelines. I even hinted that there might be a way to save Sasuke. Boruto didn't need much convincing. He's ready to grow stronger, to protect those he cares about, and to face these dark possibilities head-on. 3 years after Boruto and Sasuke left the village, Sarada goes to Shikamaru, now the 8th Hokage, to defend Boruto. Shikamaru, though, is unmoved. He believes Boruto crossed the line, with Ada's Senrigan-backed testimony supporting it. Even if Shikamaru rescinded the kill orders, he knows the villagers would still hate Boruto for allegedly killing Naruto. Frustrated, Sarada argues back, but Shikamaru warns her that her defiance could hurt her shinobi career. She retorts that Naruto, her real role model, became Hokage while still a genin. Elsewhere, Kawaki checks on the imprisoned Naruto and Hinata. Meanwhile, Mitsuki trails Kawaki, irritated by Mitsuki's belief that Boruto wants to kill him. Mitsuki is sure Boruto can hide his chakra signature, but Kawaki tells him to stop following him like a stalker. When Kawaki hears about a claw mark sighting, he leaves, and Mitsuki mutters that Kawaki is his son, right?
Even after 3 years, he's still an ass. You'd think his recent actions would make people question their memories. No one changes that drastically, that fast. No matter how strong this genjutsu is, there have to be some who are starting to doubt the reality in front of them.
In many timelines, you'd be right, but in this one, it's all being played by ear. At the training grounds, Himawari spars with Chōchō Akamichi. Chōchō counters with a powerful fist that Himawari dodges gracefully, sending throwing stars in retaliation. Chōchō expands her body partially, creating a gust of air, moving out of the trajectory of the throwing stars, then surprises Himawari by launching upward and grabbing her, ending the match. Himawari has clearly grown stronger. She admits her strength isn't for pride. She wants to help Boruto, convinced he'd never kill her father and that her father is still alive. Kawaki, meanwhile, shrinks the newly found claw mark, but notices a suspicious one on a shinobi's neck, which he removes, realizing Code's plan may involve planting these marks around the village. Kawaki speaks to Shikamaru on his discovery that Code's claw marks could be on many of the shinobi and citizens of the village, so everyone would need to be screened. Suddenly, Code's claw grimes spawn and attack. Shikamaru orders an evacuation as Sarada and Kawaki jump into battle. Then, Code himself appears, confronting Sarada and claiming he's after Boruto. Sarada tells him Boruto left years ago, but Code reveals he's trying to draw Boruto out by attacking his friends. At that moment, Boruto seemingly arrives, stepping on Code's face and taunting him. Kawaki and the village censors immediately sense his presence, alerting Shikamaru, with Kawaki shocked by Boruto's sudden return. Code is stunned by Boruto's sudden reappearance and regrets not attacking Konoha sooner. Boruto confronts him, demanding he withdraw the claw grind, which Code scoffs at, thinking it's a bluff. He remembers Boruto fleeing 2 years ago, but Boruto's resolute glare shows he means business this time, promising Code he'll lose more than just his left eye. Boruto turns to Sarada, asking her to help the civilians, assuring her they'll talk afterward. Meanwhile, Shikadai paralyzes 3 grimes, giving Chōchō an opening to strike. As another grime attacks her from behind, Inojin arrives on an ink bird with Himawari, blocking it just in time. The grime slashes the bird's left wing, causing it to tilt and send Himawari tumbling. The grime lunges at her, but Kawaki swoops in, warning Inojin and Himawari to get clear as he strikes. Inojin catches Himawari just in time, while the grime, now on the ground, opens a Rinnegan and takes a keen interest in Kawaki. Himawari thanks Kawaki, who irritably reminds her to stop calling him Big Brother. The grime seems stronger than the others, jumping between allies before slamming Kawaki to the ground and calling him an Otsutsuki, while Shikadai paralyzes it again to keep it contained. Enraged, Kawaki activates his Kama and blasts it, but as more grimes converge, Kawaki stands his ground, ready to destroy them all. Meanwhile, Boruto, surrounded by claw grimes as Code grins, sensing victory is finally within reach. He sneers at Boruto, who stands calm and unshaken, his gaze focused. Confident in his upper hand, Code raises his hand, commanding the claw grime to attack, sending a wave of them surging forward, each one moving with fierce intent to overpower and consume their target. But Boruto effortlessly cuts down 6 grimes around him, leaving Code more on edge, starting to believe Boruto might be serious. Code dismisses the grimes as mere tools, unaffected by their numbers. But Boruto counters, warning that Code has no idea of the horrors that lie within the Ten Tails. Sarada skillfully takes down more grimes with her fire release, great fireball technique, and Chidori, drawing admiration from the Konoha shinobi who marvel at her strength despite her genin rank. She, however, is ambushed by a grime attempting to bite her, only for Soegi to intercept it and get bitten instead. To Sarada's horror, the grime transforms into a tree, consuming Soegi, with the same fate befalling another shinobi who was bitten. Code is well aware that the Ten Tails instinctively seeks to bite until it consumes an Otsutsuki, aiming to grow into a god tree. Boruto warns Code that his meddling has made these creatures more dangerous, urging him to stop them before they spiral out of control. Code is unfazed, still focused on his ultimate goal, to create a chakra fruit Boruto, undeterred, makes a final offer. He'll spare Code if he reveals the Ten Tails' main body location, asserting that he'd rather give Code a chance to avoid a pointless death. Code, seeing Boruto's confidence as madness, as Boruto readies his Rasengan, Code recognizes the technique, dismissing him as a one-trick pony. But then, the swirling chakra envelops Boruto's entire body rather than just his hand, signaling that he's no longer using the same Rasengan Code remembers. Code initially thinks Boruto's new Rasengan might be a vanishing Rasengan, but quickly dismisses the idea. Using his claw marks, he tries to ambush Boruto from behind, but Boruto dodges. Code grabs Boruto's wrist, only for Boruto to block his other hand with his sword. Smirking, Code assumes Boruto can't land a hit, but Boruto calmly reveals that his technique is already working. Suddenly, a swirling energy begins to engulf Code. Boruto demands to know the Ten Tails location, warning Code that his time is running out. Code tries to attack again, but misses every time, bewildered by Boruto's uncanny movements. He considers the possibility of clones or genjutsu, but nothing seems to explain what's happening. Boruto strikes him with his new Rasengan Uzuhiko.
Whoa, what the heck was that?
That's the Rasengan Uzumiko. It's not just a high-level jutsu, it's devastating on every level. It doesn't just rely on chakra, it uses the planet's rotation as its power source.
The planet's rotation? How does it even do that?
The user syncs the jutsu's outer layer with the planet's spin, channeling that energy into the Rasengan. But here's the real kicker. It doesn't just hit the target, it severs their connection to the planet's rotation.
Wait, what does that even mean? What happens if you lose that connection?
Losing that connection is catastrophic. The planet's spin is tied to everything. Your balance, your internal chakra flow, even your ability to move properly. Without it, your body starts breaking down internally. It's like being trapped in a world that doesn't recognize you anymore.
So, they're basically left paralyzed and crumbling from the inside out?
Pretty much. And the worst part? There's no way to restore that connection once it's gone. It's permanent. Unless
what? Is there a way to stop it?
there are only two ways. Either the user cancels the jutsu themselves, or the planet's spin is forcibly stopped to interrupt the connection.
Stopping the planet? That's ridiculous. Who could even do that?
Exactly. It's why the Rasengan Uzumiko is considered almost unstoppable once it's unleashed. It's a guaranteed kill unless someone insanely powerful intervenes. Dazed, Code struggles to stand, his vision spinning uncontrollably. Boruto explains that his jutsu channels the rotation of the planet itself, causing damage as long as the world keeps turning. He offers to lift the effects if Code leads him to the Ten Tails. At that moment, Kawaki and Team 10 arrive with Himawari. Shikadai questions Boruto's intentions, but Boruto urges him not to interrupt. Code seizes the moment to escape, but Kawaki quickly shrinks his claw marks, cutting off his path. Shikamaru requests an update, and Kawaki reports that he's eliminated the remaining claw marks, meaning Code is trapped and weakened. Taking the chance, Code calls forth a claw grime from the mark on his face. Kawaki, noticing the claw grime moving into striking range, springs into action with precision. His transformed arm morphs seamlessly, thrusting through the grime's chest in one swift, brutal motion. Code, seizing this moment of distraction, darts forward with deadly intent on getting away, and vanishes through it. Shikamaru gives the order to eradicate all claw grimes. Meanwhile, Sarada and another shinobi examine the tree that envelops Soegi, confirming that he's alive but trapped within what they suspect is a defective god tree. Kawaki taunts Boruto for his Uchiha-style outfit, while Boruto expresses relief at seeing Himawari safe. Kawaki suspects Boruto returned only to meet his end, though Boruto insists he still has unfinished business. A concealed toad hidden in Boruto's collar sends a signal, alerting him that Code has returned to his base. Code stumbles past a tree with Bug, reaching the pen where an emaciated Ten Tails awaits. Another toad, Boruto planted on Code, relays the Ten Tails location back to Boruto.
If you're finding this story engaging, feel free to drop a comment below. I'd love to discuss the unfolding narrative and hear your thoughts. And if you're enjoying the tales shared, don't forget to hit that like button. For more captivating stories like this, simply click on any of the links by my side, and together, let's dive into more immersive worlds. Your feedback and interaction make this journey all the more exciting.